When we have these extremes of weather, they say it's because the jet stream has moved from where it normally is.
The wildfires that swept through Maui are the deadliest in U.S. history in more than a century. At least 100 people have died and more than 850 are missing.
Dubai is making it rain in a sweltering desert by zapping clouds with electricity using drones.
Dare to question the narrative as we ponder the unthinkable. What if the Maui fires, the harrowing 2004 tsunami, and the relentless Australian bushfires were not acts of nature, but carefully orchestrated events? Imagine a world where the weather is controlled. You won't have to face the disappointment of a too hot or cold day anymore. In today's video, we will uncover the mystery behind the weather and discover what happens if it is being controlled. Now, how does weather control work? Is it just about modifying the weather, or are there some hidden secrets? What if big research projects like the HAARP, High Frequency Auroral Research Program, are actually used as weather controlling weapons? Weather control is not just about changing a sunny day into a cloudy one. The conspiracy behind the HAARP is enough to show you why that is. Although the HAARP was announced as an auroral research program, it has been covered in mystery and conspiracy theories because many believe it to be a weapon to control the weather. It was believed to be used to destroy unaware targets by unleashing nature's forces upon them. Think, maybe that tornado was a way for some angry nation to teach you a lesson. Even something catastrophic like the Maui wildfires in August 2023 could be a part of this. What if the wildfires were caused as a result of some evil way to control the weather? The conspiracy has it that a direct laser beam targeted right at the island appeared to cause the fire. Could it be a way for large corporations to clear out the land for big projects? Before we move on further into the mystery behind the weather, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more entertaining videos. So, what's the deal with weather control? It's all about manipulating the weather and modifying it as we want it. There's still research going on in this area, so we could one day maybe control it entirely as we please. But currently, it's more about manipulating and influencing cloud systems rather than making drastic changes to the weather. Since it is not a mainstream technology right now, the idea seems fictional. But there is a way of weather control that has been around for some time. Cloud seeding is a technique that has been around for 70 years and has been tested several times. The process involves adding little particles of a harmless substance called silver iodide to clouds, allowing them to form ice crystals that lead to rainfall. Now, where did the idea of cloud seeding come from? Back in 1946, an American chemist named Vincent Schaefer experimented with cloud seeding by using frozen carbon dioxide in his lab, and he managed to induce snowfall from a cloud. Such attempts at cloud seeding were used during the Vietnam War to create artificial monsoons. Later on, scientists switched to using silver iodide particles for the same effect, but when they tried this technique out in real clouds, they found that the success rate wasn't as high as they had hoped. Turns out, the natural atmosphere isn't as controllable as a lab environment, making the process a lot trickier. Now, this still doesn't mean we can't only control the weather if we had some special superpowers, even though the idea of weather control seems like a myth right now. But as Mark Twain put it, everyone complains about the weather, but no one does anything about it. And so, the efforts to control the weather have not stopped there. Instead of directly controlling when it rains, scientists have focused on making the effects of weather less harmful. Russia and South Asia are among the countries that are attempting to tackle the issue of hazardous rainfall by introducing ice nuclei into potential hail clouds. And this has been pretty successful. Some American scientists are also exploring the idea of reducing hurricane intensity by introducing ice nuclei into hurricanes. The theory is to weaken the storm's damaging power. However, it's still early days, and more research and development are needed to make this a reality. This just opens the pathways to better disaster management we can achieve through weather control. But what are the impacts of weather control? Are they always good, or is there a dark side to them as well? There are a lot of ways in which weather control can help make our lives better and save humanity from the destructive forces of nature. Avoiding natural disasters can save us from a great deal of trouble, such as from forest fires and hurricanes. Imagine if the horrific wildfires of 2020 in Australia did not happen. The amount of lives it would have saved would have been huge, along with its impact on the environment that could have been avoided. Weather control would mean that we can prevent the many floods that happen each year simply by making some alterations to the clouds. If your favorite Marvel hero was Thor, then being able to control the weather might be a dream come true for you. You might not have his mighty hammer, but you have got his powers. But that's not all weather control can bring. It can help us solve agricultural problems related to the proper harvest of crops. If the number of failed crops is reduced simply because we can control when it rains, technology like this can save many economies of the world. Now the question is, does weather control only provide us with benefits? Why are we then skeptical about our weather being controlled? Maybe because this could make the use of weather weapons possible, like Zeus's thunderbolt striking everything at will. But maybe something less fantastical, something like the harp, like we mentioned in the beginning. And if that wasn't enough to scare you about the dark side of weather control, what if we tell you there could be large energy devices that can cause earthquakes? There have been reports of such devices deep within Antarctica by Eric Hecker, who was sent to work there under intense security. Whether or not this is true is still a mystery yet to be confirmed, but if governments had such power to control the weather, they could bend the laws of nature, and this can have disastrous consequences for the world. So when we think about the bad side of weather control, it makes us wonder who should be able to control the weather. Is the government, some international body, or just one independent organization of experts? Whatever the answer, we can only hope they use it to prevent a rainy day from ruining occasions like a heated football final, instead of wreaking havoc in the world. Now, is there any country out there that can control the weather, or maybe is somewhere near discovering its secrets? Now, it may have seemed like a fictional idea to think we can control the weather, but some countries are already there. China is one example. 60 years ago, the Chinese government began using cloud seeding to enhance precipitation. Military aircraft would drop silver iodide and liquid nitrogen onto clouds, thickening the water droplets and triggering rain or snow. This technique has been particularly useful during droughts, like before the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. And seeing its success, they announced plans to expand the project, covering over 2.1 million square miles. But China isn't the only one tinkering with the weather. Over in the USA's western state of Wyoming, scientists conducted the Wyoming Weather Modification Pilot Program, or WWMPP, in 2018. Using cloud seeding technology, they aimed to induce rainfall over 2 different mountain ranges. And the results were pretty impressive. The experiment showed that 30% of the rainfall over the mountains was induced by cloud seeding. Modifying the weather is working to cause rainfall even in places where the average annual rainfall is less than 4 inches per year. Dubai is using a different type of cloud seeding to create rain. What they are doing is that instead of silver iodide particles, because they can be a risk to aquatic life, they used electrical charges through a fleet of drones to thicken the water droplets in clouds. These larger droplets have a greater chance of making it to the ground and causing rainfall. But whether or not this plan is suitable to work in the long run is still questionable. But what this means is that weather control is starting to become a possibility. It can help us resolve many of our climatic and environmental issues. There might be a day you don't have to wait for ages in the hot summer with your icy popsicle, hoping it will rain. There might be some unseen effects to such technology because modifying the weather a bit too much can disrupt the natural systems. But with science and advanced technology, we are slowly starting to blur the lines between what's real and fiction. Weather control is still in its early stages of development with just a few countries who are beginning to experiment with it. But it's only about time this technology becomes normal and we all become weather wizards. So we see what happens if the weather is actually controlled, but does it mean we are at a greater threat now due to weather weapons? Or will it be successful in helping us reduce weather-related disasters? Whatever the case is, who should be controlling the weather? These questions will slowly answer themselves as we move into an era of better and more advanced technology that allows us to control the weather.